Owner. Are we live yet?
All right. Well, here we are. Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Something happened.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Morning, Annabelle.
Did you not hear the music?
I heard a third of it.
Well, that's the first of 3 music videos I've got for you today, but I'm realizing that the music production business is not as easy game as I thought, you know. But anyway, I've assembled a collection of amazing tracks. That's one of them.
That is true.
That one's called Into the Rad Land, performed by the Urfspace band, the Urfspace 5, led by Astro Kitty, aka Isaac Bonnell of the Seagulls. He's that's the backbone of the album. I've got 5 tracks by Isaac. I have one by Supersonic Symbiotic, one by Charm World, one by somebody called Chris Porro.
Who is that?
Another by some band called the Citrus Kids.
That Chris Porro guy sounds interesting. Can we talk more about him?
I have
what is he up to?
Yeah, he sounds all right. We'll talk about him. We'll get him on the show someday.
All right. That sounds cool. I'd love to ask him questions.
But some people say those are the best tracks on the album. Myself.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You know, I don't
I'd
like
have
to
to
pay
listen
favorites.
to him.
But...
I'm a pretty critical listener, but instead of listening, I think I'll just take your word on it.
Yeah, we seem to be having a lot of delays with our visuals today. Like Chris and I are both in like holes here that are tracking slower.
That may be down to your own internet connection, Amber. I don't know. You're seeming fairly smooth to me.
How do I look?
Yeah, but it's delayed.
Oh yeah, you are delayed. I see it now.
Watch this.
Yeah.
You guys ready? I'm gonna clap. And here it comes.
Okay, but guys, listen. I need Kickstarter backers.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
see what's going on here? I have a Kickstarter. Wait, I'm going to share the screen.
The Kickstarter is to get us faster streaming services.
No, it's
wait,
not.
It's for something else. It's for
It's
Chuck.
for his books.
Chuck's releasing these 2 amazing books, and you can get them in digital, softcover, hardcover, and an amazing compilation album, which is featuring some great artists from they're mostly from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, right?
Yes, many of them are from the San Francisco Bay Area. Actually, I put together a little page of information about some of the bands. So let me sort of hop to that. I've got that on my own site. So you can find out some more about this on my own website, which is whelan.com. Wait, that's a different Chrome tab, though. I have to share a different Chrome tab with you. Hang on.
And it's a bunch of bands that are from it's pretty diverse. The album is, but it also is a good match with the visuals of Urfspace.
Well, it's very San Francisco.
Yeah, some of it is. Well, yeah, I mean it's hard for me to place. There's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's like a hip hop track. There's some kind of like Renaissance fair instrumentals. There's a kind of a metal track. There's kind of what sounds to be a 60s Beatles track to me. There's the track that we just heard, whatever you want to call that.
Well, that's one of Astro Kitty and the Urfspace 5. You know, those are all synth tracks, synthesizer music, and they were made to fit the different themes of the book. So I've named those different tracks after the tracks in the book. Let's see. Okay, look, there's a picture of Chris and I at the radio the other week.
I'm explaining how you do local radio to this guy.
Yeah, this is KXSF. They're like a proper radio station, such as these things are, in that they broadcast out to about 6,000 listeners in San Francisco.
We spent most of our time on the couch drinking, but every once in a while we got up and talked into the microphone.
Yes, hosted by Dynamite Holdaway, who's an old friend from Small Press and Comics in the Bay Area, that whole scene.
There's my cooler. Is my cooler there? Can you see the cooler?
Oh, yeah, there's your cooler in the corner, yeah.
I brought a fifth of tequila, a fifth of vodka, and a bunch of mixers, because you never know, in case we had to camp out there.
Yeah, well, we did camp out there for a while.
Serve the staff.
And we were sort of given an open invitation to return, and an official invitation to return, I believe, on September 4th. Hey. If this Kickstarter funds and we're able to make the album happen. So here's a quick rundown of all the bands that are on it. So we've got Astro Kitty and the Urfspace 5, plus Charm World, Lost Loser. So Charm World, I'll play you that in a minute. I've got a video put together for Charm World.
Oh, sweet.
Earth, Winds and Fire, Interstellar Earth Drive. That's one of my former neighbours, All West. Yeah, that's the Beatles-like track. So on that one, we board the Earth train, and then Air King Stand, Taking Off. That's Thomas Muir. He's got a very smooth track there, so we have a very smooth takeoff. That one's quite. His one's sort of quite. I don't know how to describe it, like sculptural, like like Jean-Michel Jarre or something like that. Great.
Which one is that? Is that
that's the Taking Off after Earth, Wind and Fire. Yes, so Earth, Wind and Fire is fantastic. That one is. Yes, it's like a sort of later Beatles track when they were in their hippie phase, and we're sort of boarding the train, and there's little sound clips and snippets, and. Some little commentary.
Oh, yeah. So that's the Beatles. The Beatles.
Yeah.
The Urfspace, get on board.
Yes. There's some very funny Urfspace harmonies in there.
I love that track. It's one of my favorites.
How long did it take you to put this together, Chuck?
Well, I think I started talking about it sort of earlier this year, sort of March or April. I don't know if I talked to it with Chris and Isaac a little bit before, but. There was a show at the Knockout that I went to see. It was sort of around about the end of April. Chris and I went. We saw, and Supersonic Symbiotic were performing. Artemis, who was on the show. Artemis and Kerry, the drummer. And I was thinking about asking them, like, I could maybe get that track on the album. I was starting to think maybe about some people I could ask to get tracks on the album. And then my neighbour Mark Gordon was there, and so Charm World were playing on the bill. And then Teresa Moore, who was a friend of the show, who was on the show earlier this year, she also happened to be there. And she plays in a band too, and she sort of introduced me to some people. So, that sort of led to the Angry Tunes and some of the other local bands that are on the show, like the Angry Tunes, and Simon Ferocious, War. So that, yes. And then others are sort of friends of mine, Amy Carr, Fly, Dirk Teedy, we know him from webcomics. He was on the show, and he mentioned. So I got a rather silly little track from him at the end there. That's quite funny. Matt Holdaway's Army, Gravity. That's a great track as well. Very fitting with the theme, sort of trancey dancy. The Seagulls. They're my good friends, and Isaac of Astro Kitty and the Urfspace 5. He's also plays keyboards in the Seagulls.
And the Seagulls are kind of like a would you call them British garage?
They're like pub rock sort of sound, I call them.
Rock.
They're he's got quite a sort of London Cockney sort of sound. I suppose he's a Cockney. I don't know. He's real Londoner, and and he's a singer-songwriter. He writes his own songs, and they're a very tight band. My friend Jerry plays the drums in the Seagulls. She's been on the show too. We've had the Seagulls on the show in some of our very early episodes.
That's true, yeah.
Last year. So that's who we have on there. So friends and neighbours, but all incredibly talented musicians.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's not just like some people that play music.
Hey, who's that guy? I know that guy.
Yeah, there he is on the radio.
That's the guy that owns the station.
Oh, okay. It looked like you for some.
That would help if you did own the station, because then we could broadcast out 24 hours a day if people to back this Kickstarter.
I'd turn it into a half bar, half station. And we'd have lots of guests, like ample guests all the time.
That's not you on the right there?
It is me on the right.
That is him.
See, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying he's the guy that owns the station. I'm telling you he's not.
Amber, I thought you were kidding about that. I thought you clearly recognized me and you were just saying, hey, let's just call this out.
No, that was the boy who made the drinks.
Yeah, I was the bartender.
The bartender, yes, I guess that's the profession. That's the technical term we use these days.
Mixologist.
I was the station mixologist. That's right. That's how public radio rolls, or it's community radio, which I think is different.
Yeah, there it is.
There's the book.
I got to keep showing the book and talking about the book. It's all about the book, people. There's a tagline. Look, and the art. I've got to make a post about the art this week. I think I have to sort of chase up. I've got to send some stuff out to like media and bloggers. I suppose.
Now, when this book gets made into a movie, like the Urfspace Universe movie, the book will become a instant classic.
Have you sent out a press release yet?
No, that's my goal of the day, really, of the week, is press release. Yes, I've sort of got a press release together. Yeah, I thought maybe we could like work on a press release today. What do we say to the press? I don't know. I know I'm getting you to do my work for me, but
what do you say to the press?
Do you remember in that old show of The Critic where he was like, "Buy my book, buy my book, buy my book,
buy my book." Yes.
But sounds like
back my Kickstarter. I need people. I need like my fans. I need people like watching this show, like who watch the show, to back the Kickstarter. I think you're backing it. I think mostly you are already. I've got 17 backers, and they're all like, great people, artists I respect and admire. So it's nice to have the support of my peers and my friends. And I'm asking for the support of my peers and friends on this one, because this is a very personal one. If you don't like this one, I don't know what I'm doing.
It yet. I'm a bad friend. So.
Should we shame Amber?
Well, you guys help me. I don't ask anybody in particular. I understand everybody has their own reasons for doing anything, and from doing this for a long time, I know not everybody always backs it, but it's really meaningful where people do. As people that support my work, I really appreciate you. People that enjoy it, I appreciate even more. I mean, I want you to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, it's fine. But I think you should enjoy it. I think there's some very funny things in here. I put my heart and soul into this book, and
I'm getting both hardcovers and the album. I think that's what I'm getting, because I'm convinced someday, like when you're famous, it's gonna be worth a lot. It's like an investment.
Yeah, you can get the original art right now too. Now some of these pieces have sold in galleries in San Francisco's North Beach. Mm-hmm. And, I'm offering 10 of them up, and you can take your pick if you back at that art lovers level. And, I'm hoping some of you are art lovers. I know I'm not really expecting my artist friends. I know we're all broke. That's for people who have proper jobs and like art and want to collect art. and support art. I'll trade my art. I'll trade my art with any of my artist friends. I'll always trade with my artist friends.
You've seen the meme, right? Where it's Barbie and Ken, and it says the people that buy art, and then it's the Joker and Harley, and it says the people that make art.
It's not really true. I know my camera's slightly slopey. I do look like a Batman. I'm in a Batman villain here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're a little crooked right now. You're at a Dutch angle.
Yeah, and I've got my villainous product, and I guess they look a little villainous. I've got a meter maid and some sort of tigress dictator on the covers. So they're heroes and villains in these
I actually
books.
have a whole new setup for me. I got a third screen now. You guys can't tell, but I'm looking up at you.
What?
Yeah.
I know you're surrounded by like a walls of
up at us?
screens, so you're like a super villain as well, surrounded by your wall of screens,
I
Adrian Veidt in The Watchmen.
I have my sideways screen right here. I got a big wide one up here that I'm looking at you guys at now, and then I have my Whelon tablet down here so I can draw.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah.
So you're like laying down right now?
No, I am leaning back with my feet up though.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm not laying. If I wanted to lay down, I guess I could like lay.
Hold on, let's verify this. Can I see you juggle some stuff?
Wait, see now I'm laying down.
Okay. Oh, all right. So you're kind of
You're like you're in the first class recliner.
No, I just have a video game chair.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Video game chair. That sounds comfortable.
Yeah, it is. I like it.
Well, it's good to have proper position at the computer. I had very bad repetitive strain injury. I probably talked about this on the show before, like in the wrists. I was almost going to wear them today, like I do have them here, actually, here. Like these things. These are good for artists. You see them. They're not just for,
I put
people
those on
that
my
work
feet
for
normally.
Scrooge.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're good for every day for artists. I mean, you can get sort of ones that are a little more protective, I think, of your art stuff, but just like, especially when you're working on the computer, actually, you want to keep your wrists quite warm. Like the coldness can exacerbate repetitive strain injury. Other things that exacerbate repetitive strain injury are bending your wrist from side to side when you're at the keyboard, which is very tender. You want to really try and keep your wrist like this. And, well, it might be a little close to the
My
camera.
keyboard
But you
is
wanna
above my
let your
Whelon.
hand, let your hands
my
hang at the
keyboard
side.
is above my Whelon. I have it up with Velcro.
Well, you want to imagine that you have a little string going through your hand, like your palms, like you've been nailed to the cross by a little piece of string. And that string is lifting your palms. And that's a sort of a good way. And then try and keep your wrists sort of straight. So it's good to have one of those angle keyboards. That helped me a lot at one point when I was having some problems with it. Mm-hmm. There are all these things. There are all little things that add and contribute to it. So yeah, good chairs, good postures. I know, just tip of the day. The more you know. That's the theme of the show, is good health. So I just thought I'd get it in there.
Also, track mice. Track mice are the bomb. If you've never worked on a track mouse, I mean, there's so much.
I have. They're not my. I don't like them.
Well, you don't like them for the first like 2 weeks, and then once you get fast on them, they just kill it. They're just faster and more accurate. Like I can't go back, but it does take like a month to get used to them.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to train on a new thing. I trained to use my mouse with the left hand, and that took a little while, but it wasn't that hard. And there's things like that you can do, and variety, really, diversity for health is good. If you're feeling any strain or whatever, then think of it like, is there a different system I can start using for a bit?
I got a wireless mouse. Here, I'm delayed, so I have to wait. I got a wireless mouse, and then I have my Whelon dial pad for when I'm drawing, so I don't have to, lift up all the time. My hand, to the keyboard. I can just like move it from the mouse over to the dial pad, over to the mouse again.
All right. Well, that's all very interesting. But are you guys ready to see another video?
Yes.
Oh, yes, please.
All right.
Oh, by the way, I just want to give you a shout out, Chuck, for making these videos. I mean, we're totally looking for. I told the guys yesterday about the raw dog plans, and we totally appreciate it because it is very labor intensive to make videos to music.
Yes, well, I'm doing these. They're little bare bones. I'm just sort of throwing in some art, so they're a bit more like an animated slideshow, a slideshow that's sort of somewhat set to the music, but as much as I can. But I feel like they're things that can be elaborated on over time. But just to set the song, just have the song with some of my art and drawing it. So yeah, here's Lost Loser from Charm World. Alrighty.
Chuck, I had an idea.
Yes.
That's first of all, that's some awesome stuff. I love that zebra. And as the
Oh, thank
zebra was
you.
opening up, I was like, okay, I've got the idea for it. Like when you're drawing the zebra and it's a little bit filled in, you dissolve to a woman with just a zebra hat in, and it's a match. You know what I mean? Like she's in
Oh,
the same posture as
yes.
and she wanders through the mission at night, making friends, having mishaps and all that stuff, and basically wandering around being lost, going into bars and walking down the street. And then at the end it dissolves back out to the zebra. I thought that could be a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in the mission, and
Oh.
I love that character.
I like that song. It's very punky.
Yes, it's
Oh.
very great. I was trying to think of
Yeah.
who he reminded me of. I suddenly realised it was like he sounds a bit like Fergal Sharkey of the Undertones. In fact, he could be Fergal
I was
Sharkey.
thinking
His name's Bruce Rayburn. Bruce Rayburn's the drummer.
I
I'm
was
sorry,
thinking,
the
like-
singer, the singer and songwriter, and then we have CL Cynthia Louise on the bass, and the drummer on that track, I believe, is Max Cassowary.
Well, it sounds almost like early Stooges.
Oh yes, well I think so. I mean, yes, Bruce has had sort of a number of bands, and I think had one called Yo at one point or something. But yeah, he's a very talented guy, and that's an amazing band. I was so excited, to have them on the album, and have them agree to be on the album. And let me open the album with that track, which sort of kicks us off. And then we go to the Interstellar Earth Drive, which is a little smoother, and then a smooth takeoff, and then we sort of explore the various regions of Urfspace on our cruise through Urfspace. You were ending up in the land of the hand, and I think we ended up get brutally murdered by the Farrier of the Swamp, by the Angry Toons somewhere towards the end, but that's not quite the end. Then we have some silly stuff from Dirk, and then Amy Carr carries us off to heaven. And that's more or less the journey. And 19 tracks, I think, so it's quite a full album at this point. It's about 64 minutes right now.
Is every track going to have a video?
I don't know. Yes, I've been sort of dividing the art, and the art that I've filmed. Theoretically it could, because, I sort of filmed myself doing the art, so I could, stretch the art out across. So I'm just sort of, picking some of the ones that I know I've got, like, that Lost Loser, the theme of that, like, Lost Loser, I had various tracks. I wasn't sure exactly which ones until I sort of really look at it. I knew I Lost My Way. I have that one. And then I was like, well, which ones are the ones that are that? But all those images there, they're all in that theme of Lost Losers. In one way or another. And then I've done another video for Supersonic Symbiotic, which is Disney Jail, and that one I put all the things that are like, that's the most sort of well there's also the Farrier of the Swamp is massive, so that one I was sort of saving to later because it's such a long track, so I probably the video of that one's going to be, but that'll be sort of Land of the Hand, Farrier of the Swamp. There'll be a lot of things going in there. I mean, I might even I'll have to sort of see where I get with that one. The very next one I'm going to do, I think, is Future Lady Cops, which is one of the shorter ones by Isaac. But I've got loads and loads of Future Lady Cops, so I'm going to see which ones are going to go in the video, and then the other ones are going to go in the other videos. Probably a lot of them will go in the Raw Dog video as well. Like Raw Dog will have. I've got a few things that I know going in Raw Dog, but again, Raw Dog's one that, like, there'll probably a few different things could go in there. But I think I'm putting all the naughtier things in there.
I just want to back up. I just want to back up for a second to say that. A few things can go into the Raw Dog video. Okay, continue.
Yes.
I mean, it's mostly about, like, fair food, hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. So
yes.
If you have any illustrations of that stuff.
I do have a very good hot dog image, actually, that I did when I was sort of at my doing like things at the most basic level, and I was like, oh, how would you do something really basic? And I did do a very basic hot dog that I have somewhere.
Like a character that's a hot dog?
No, it's just a very basic. It's a hot dog with mustard on it.
Oh, okay.
Which I guess isn't a raw dog, but which I don't know. Raw dog, ketchup, mustard, relish. Put it on me, fellas.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like she doesn't want it on the hot dog. She wants it on her.
I mean, it sounds like that, but I think there must be some confusion.
Anyway, I don't know.
Did you see
I'll
my
have
background?
to meet this young lady.
Lyrics can be interpreted.
Yes.
I've never actually met Lil
No.
I've never met her, although we are working with her, but I've never met her. Only Sean's met her. Like Sean's met her, Mark hasn't met her. Um, and yeah, I think yeah, I mean I've seen her on Instagram and stuff like that, but I've never actually met her in person. I've never even talked to her. I don't know. Sean might be imagining her. He's out in the woods. He doesn't see people a whole lot.
All right.
Sometimes that happens.
Well,
What, you just don't believe this person exists because you personally haven't confirmed that she exists.
It's possible, yes.
So by that logic, if something is not seen by you, it doesn't exist. Do you not have object permanence?
I don't. I'm like a baby. When does that go
Well,
away?
the
When's it
bug bladder
supposed-
beast
when-
of
when
Tra.
is that supposed to go away? Am I supposed to have that now?
Yeah, object permanence usually comes around age 3.
That's a long time. I'm sure there's some variation. People are different. We're all individuals. All I'm saying is that when a friend of mine says he's got this really hot girlfriend and I never meet her, I'm like,
Do you remember in Avenue Q the song about my girlfriends in Canada? You know,
No.
yeah.
No.
Well, one of the characters, you know, he's closeted gay. He doesn't want anyone to know. You know, he's like in love
okay.
with his best friend and stuff. And so when they're like, just come out and say it, he's like, no, I got a girlfriend in Canada. Her name is Alberta. She lives in Vancouver.
Doesn't sound made up at all. Not
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I've got another friend that is dating like kind of she's a model in LA and that's how she makes her living, and she's also like got a big following on Instagram and stuff like that, and she's like super hot, and I've never met her or spoken to her either, and they've been dating for like 2 years, and I'm like, I'm like, do you have any pictures of you guys together?
Yeah, together.
Yeah,
You know?
and he's like, well, you know, she's got this Instagram following which is mostly guys, and it's really not good for her following to have the boyfriend in there constantly or at all.
well, the
apparently.
boyfriends, yeah. Well, usually they make an appearance somewhere, don't they?
Well, I
They want you
remember
to know that they've got a boyfriend, so that you're not hassling them. As someone who's like looked at models and drawn models,
No, she wants
as
to
an
be
artist
hassled.
in my professional capacity.
there is there's been a series of photos that's been going around, kind of like a meme, where it's an OnlyFans model that got paid $10,000 to meet one of her top fans, right? And they're in front of an elevator, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you know, I'm with my fan." And then the very next picture is her with her real life boyfriend going on a world trip with that $10,000.
I'm telling you, it's bad for business. These boyfriends, you know. I mean, you know, like even like pop stars, like stuff like that. Haven't pop stars been discouraged about like talking too much about their wife or their girlfriend because there's a big group of female fans and they just don't want to hear it. I mean, it's probably in the back of their head somewhere. But
On that note, Elvis Presley used to have pajama parties with some of his top fans.
really,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Elvis Presley had pajama parties, and then Michael Jackson used to give Jesus juice to little boys. So you know,
Amber.
There's nothing like that
Amber.
goes on. I want people to know nothing like that goes on at planet Earth. We don't produce material for children. I mean, it
Amber,
might corrupt children. Children do like Urfspace. I just want to point out, like, it's not for Urfspace, but they get it. They love it. They find it very funny.
But if they want to be corrupted, it's great.
I just want to make.
But yeah, we don't make any bones about it here. We're not like pretending we're doing wholesome family entertainment.
I mean, you know, you're talking about like their persona, their image, and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, celebrities, like, they got so much money, the image doesn't matter anymore. They can just pay to get that image cleaned up.
I love how fast Amber took this off the rails and then Chuck brought it back on the rails.
Oh, let's
It was
keep
like
it.
Chuck
Stay.
got a
I've got
little
to stay on the
panic.
rolls. Listen,
It's
guys.
like,
I've got. Have I mentioned that I've got only got another 3 weeks
Yeah.
to get this thing across the finish line? I'm about 20% of the way there.
Yeah.
So I
didn't
really need
realize
to be.
how-
I need to be 25% of the way there. Or actually, since normally the beginning is like the most exciting part. But I feel like people are gonna, you know, that I gonna keep pushing it all through the middle here. Mm-hmm. And well,
You just
next
gotta
week we're
tell
gonna try a
everyone,
late show.
I'm gonna be annoying for a month while we're doing this.
I like
The
you know
only way to
I
get
was
me to stop is to give me money.
Yeah, it's
I
only
was
yes.
surprised.
Oh, and my children are going to starve. My co-hosts are going to starve. I don't pay them anyway, so imagine how little I'm going to pay them.
It's going to take money from us after. If it
Look,
doesn't
the
make it.
Kickstarter is to fund some really good packaging on the CD, so I can do like a fold out and a booklet, and make sure that we can have a good event at the end of the year and to get some original art out there. And without that, it can't really happen. And make the books and get the books printed. I need to get the books printed. Those hardback books.
That's kind of that's kind of a big part of the Kickstarter is printing the actual book.
Yes.
Yeah, what do they call that? They call it
The
fulfillment.
deliverable.
Fulfillment.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
do the fulfillment part, and you need the
Yes.
money part to do the fulfillment. And we have 3 weeks, right?
Yes, we have 3 weeks to get there. Yes, but I think we can do it. But yeah, I need people that love my art. That like some people who want to buy some art, and I need everybody else to get the 2 hardback books and the signed hardback books. They'll be signed and drawn in. I'll draw in a little picture for you, probably of like Astro Kitty, and that will be your pledge reward, and that'll be 2 hardback books and a nicely produced CD.
And some of that music is not released, right? I mean, that track of mine
Yes.
is not released.
No, some of it
there's
is
nowhere you can get it, basically.
yes, no, yeah. There's a lot of it. Some of them are from from
The word
artists
you're
that have.
looking for
tracks
is
out.
exclusive.
But yes, most of it is
exclusive.
exclusive music. Yeah, and Isaac, and the Astro Kitty and Urfspace 5. You're certainly not going to find that anywhere else. Chris Porro's theme from Planet Earth. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Some people say that's the best track on the album.
That's what you say, right?
I say that I think they're all the best track on the album. That's the trouble.
There is a lot of good stuff on there.
Except maybe the track from Dirk TD is very silly. I put it on there because it made me laugh so much.
Which one is that?
Eine kleine techno music. It comes on. There's the really heavy Farrier of the Swamp, and that goes on for a while, and that sort of slays you at the end. That's the big epic
it's a-
finale, really. And then Dirk comes on with like, this weird little thing that goes. Meow, 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 meow. I can't really do it. I'm not very good at reproducing music myself.
Yeah, right. It's okay. I know which one you're talking about. The one with a really heavy kick in it.
Yeah, and it's got a very bouncy sound. I don't know. It sounds like the theme tune of Rhubarb and Custard, which my British viewers will know. If you don't know Rhubarb and Custard,
I don't
look up Rhubarb and Custard on YouTube.
If there's any viewers in the chat,
I
the
think it's
British
spelled.
viewers
I
in the
don't know. I
chat.
spell it ROO. I don't know. Does he spell it RHU? I don't know. Rhubarb and Custard.
RHUBARB. Rhubarb.
Yeah, he does spell it like that. He's like a green dog and a pink cat. This guy Bob Godfrey drew them. He was a cartoonist, like of the minimal style. So he drew them in fat marker and animated them himself. So they're very basic little. But we had them on kids' TV. Rhubarb and Custard.
That sounds delicious. That is inspiration for a pie. In fact, I think rhubarb pies are kind of like that. I grew up with rhubarb, like my grandparents grew it, and they'd make pies. And rhubarb is so tart that when you pair it with like custard or whatever is in a rhubarb pie, it's delicious.
Yes.
Rhubarb and strawberry is usually paired
Yeah,
together.
that's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good combo. Yeah, I didn't like rhubarb for a long time, but I did. But I always liked Rhubarb and Custard, the TV show. Rhubarb's a sort of like, he's kind of a sweet, stupid dog. And then Custard's this sort of kind of clever, nasty cat. He's a pink cat. He's a bit like a sort of Cheshire cat. He's a sort of nasty Cheshire cat. That's about all I can remember.
That just that affirms dangerous and offensive stereotypes about cats and dogs.
I don't know.
Look together, mass hysteria.
Yeah.
That's
no. I think it was quite stereotype breaking of its time. In the time when you could only do things about pink cats and purple dogs, green dogs.
Can we have more Ghostbusters quotes?
Well, I mean, if it's the original, because Ghostbusters 2, not quite as strong as Ghostbusters 1, and then they made the girl Ghostbusters, which wasn't as strong, and then they made the new one where they had a ghost Harold Ramis, and
right, and people said that was all right.
I heard it was respectful. I hadn't seen it yet.
It's respectful. That's all you can ask from a
Respectful
Ghostbusters
of
movie.
what?
Harold Ramis has been dead for like 6 years, and they basically made a ghost Harold Ramis in the movie. Woo!
That's quite a good idea. That's a good idea for a
like,
ghost.
I guess that's the problem. I don't know who that is, or I'll know who
Harold
it is.
Ramis is Egon.
Oh, he's been dead for years?
Yes, he's been dead for years.
There's no need for that. I mean, he's too young for that, I think.
Yeah, he's a sort of famous. He's a famous comedy writer and director. You know.
Yeah, he died of cancer, but in the movie in Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife, his character had been dead before the movie starts. But then they have his character come back as a ghost to fight the evil with the other Ghostbusters. But Harold Ramis himself has been dead.
So how did they do that? Like they did him digitally?
Did they
CGI.
scan his face like in BoJack Horseman, where they just scan his face and it's not him in the movie at all?
Well, they were doing that on Harrison Ford too.
It's CGI. It is a fake Harold Ramis. It is not a real Harold Ramis. He is digital. They kind of had a grumbly voice actor kind of grumble out some lines, and I heard from people it was respectful, but to me it still seems kind of garishly ghoulish to like, I mean, the actor died.
All right, but you shouldn't be in a movie about ghosts. If he disrespects ghosts, you can't be disappointed.
I just think that's actually kind of cool. They should do a fifth like Ghostbusters when everyone is dead, and then they'll be like, I mean, some people will believe that maybe they're really ghosts.
Well, what's interesting. Okay, here's an interesting thing about Ghostbusters. We're going to go off of the Kickstarter for a little second.
Yeah, that's all right. I've probably got a ghost story in here, but you talk about Ghostbusters. I'll see if I can find something relevant.
Ghostbusters is one of the rare continued continuities through all of the genres and mediums that Ghostbusters has gone through. The shows lead into the movies, which lead into the shows, which lead into the comics, which lead into the games, which lead into more shows.
Wait, no. The cartoon show has completely different Ghostbusters. There's no continuity at all.
No. I'm not talking about the Ghostbusters one with the gorilla. I'm talking about the real. No,
yeah, I'm talking about the animated cartoon where they all look totally different.
But it was the same characters.
They were still them? All right, okay, they were.
Yeah, it was the same characters. And
wait, what about going to the women Ghostbusters?
That was an alternate universe. Because they showed it because they had the original actors, so they sort of showed it was an alternate universe.
They still lead into each other because they got the tech from somewhere. I don't know.
I feel like this continuity concept is very flexible.
Well, Dan Aykroyd owns Ghostbusters, and so he said that when he was a kid, he always hated how like the TV show and the movie never were incongruent with each other. So he wanted to make sure that they had the same timeline. When Real Ghostbusters started, it starts right after the first Ghostbusters movie. Right? And then when they made the second Ghostbusters movie, they did Real Ghostbusters and Slimer, which happened after the second Ghostbusters movie. And they even have things like the pink slime in the Ghostbusters TV shows. And then, years go by, they have Extreme Ghostbusters come out, but it's the continued continuity of these previous shows and movies. They reference things like Gozer in Extreme Ghostbusters.
Chuck, what do you have on ghosts?
Well, okay, I've got some good stuff on ghosts. I don't have anything about ghosts, but I do have a character in here who is.
I told you we were going to go off topic. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I've got. Where's she gone? Where's she gone? She's at the front here somewhere. Yeah, the cat lady. Yeah. So the cat lady. The cat lady's slightly based on my good friend Karen, who we work with over there. Karen Zimmerman. She doesn't.
Wait, do I know her?
She has a few cats. So she's more of a ghost lady though than a cat lady. It doesn't really look like her, but she somewhat inspired that one because she has cats, but she has ghosts. She bought a house. She ran a bookshop, I think, in Alameda. She had a house in Alameda, but she had to close the bookshop, and now she's moved out to Philadelphia or somewhere like that, and bought a house, or Pennsylvania, and bought a house with 7 ghosts. And it costs less than it would cost you to buy like a falling down shed in my neighborhood. and it's a full-on mansion with like 7 ghosts.
Well,
What town
Now,
is she?
was
She's
it
in one of those
discounted?
cities out there.
Was it
Pittsburgh.
discounted because of the ghosts?
Yeah, was it?
She bought it because of the ghosts, because she's a ghost hunter. So she writes books about ghosts. She all her life had experiences with ghosts, and I went on a ghost hunt with her because I knew about this, and she told me, she goes, "Oh, I'm a lecturer. I go to ghost conventions and talk about ghosts and all this." I was like, "Oh, that's so fascinating." And I've never had any experiences with ghosts, but I know people I respect who have. And
You're not trying hard enough, Chuck. You have to try really hard.
yeah, I don't
all
want
the
to.
time.
There's
but
some
her.
people that are like voids, and ghosts don't mess with them at all. And maybe you're one
Yes.
of those people.
Yeah, well,
might
there's
be
something
too.
about the more you believe things, the truer they become. There's also something about possibly you can be quantum entangled. I think quantum entanglement can satisfactorily explain ghosts to me. And some people can be more sensitive to, these impressions, these entanglements, which are usually sort of emotional or whatever. But, she had always, and the guy she did ghost hunting with, who was like a friend from Ghosts, basically, they both had experiences all their life.
A friend
with
from
ghosts.
Ghosts.
They were, yes. So yeah, they, that like it's like you can't really help it.
Introduced him.
But yeah, so I was at a party at my sister's mother-in-law's place, and some of her friends were there, and they were like, "Oh, we have a ghost." They lived up North Bay sort of area. And I said, "Well, I know a ghost hunter. Let's have a ghost hunt." And so I made it happen. I called up my ghost hunter friend Karen and said, "Oh, I've got a ghost for you."
Did she
She's
bring
like,
in
"Oh,
the
good."
machine? Did she bring the machine that goes bing?
She brought the machine that goes ping, or like her partner did. Like he was more. I mean, they're not romantic partners; they're ghost hunting partners. Yeah. And he brought a little machine that he had made. And there was 2 of us and him. I think there was somebody else who was sort of just joining it. He was like sort of ghost hunting curious.
Did they get any EVPs? Because that's really fascinating amongst the ghost hunting stuff.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what an EVP is.
EVP is electronic voice phenomenon. It's when you're catching sounds and music and voices and stuff on electronic devices when there's nobody else in the room.
Yes, so they had a machine
yeah.
sort of for doing this, and he had a sort of thing, that sensitive little dial that he could do. But which you might say, oh well, that's just a sort of bogus thing. But then you're also like, oh no, he's seriously like trying to find something that can maybe pick up something, and the people who live in that house, they had all these stories. I mean, that was the thing. They had this story and that story. There was no doubt to them that they had a ghost, and they weren't, and they were sort of like happy that I brought someone along who knew something about ghosts. I mean, I didn't know them at all. So they were sort of friends.
When I was in a band in Tucson, I got a lot of, what'd you call them, Amber, EVPs on my amplifier.
Really?
Constantly, yeah.
So you would just get random talk about things?
Well, certain things, and it's pretty common, can act as antenna, and one of the things that can do it are guitar amplifiers and probably other amplifiers. So you get like whatever radio station you happen to like tune into. So you could get some Mexican conversation or some English people, or that's a super common thing. I probably every guitarist has experienced that at one point.
Yeah, where you're getting weird signals from your amp.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're tuning into some type of radio frequency transmission. Somewhere. Because we're in basically.
The EVPs that are really fascinating are the ones that respond to questions and prompts in the room. And
I never got that.
Yeah, so there's people that will ask questions, what's your name, who are you, and stuff like that. And then they have their electronic equipment recording. And so later on, they go and they take that equipment into an audio program, and they basically enhance the sound that's there, and they can pull answers out of the air to their questions. What's your name? And the name will be like, my name's John. And stuff. And that's the really creepy part about EVP is sometimes you can get responses.
Sometimes when there's ghost hunters in my neighborhood, what I like to get is a really low wattage AM transmitter and hang out outside the house where they're looking for ghosts and say things like, "Hey, my name is Chris. Good luck with your ghost hunting. I died in 1852.
Well,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, that's a hobby, and why not? That's like crop circles. crop circles and makers and crop circle hunters.
The creepiest EVP I've ever heard. The creepiest EVP I've ever heard, because there was a group that was at Long Beach State University that used to hunt ghosts and stuff like that, and they played this EVP where they were in a graveyard somewhere in England, and it was a little boy's voice saying, "Hey, help me find my stone in the graveyard." And and they said that no kids were there. They were in the middle of the graveyard, and they were trying to get EVPs, and this was one of the EVPs they got. And it was a very clear voice of a little boy saying, "Help me find my stone in the graveyard." And it's one of those things that like chill goes up your spine, but it's like there's no explanation for it. But there has to be an explanation for it.
I think it's a little boy with a low power transmitter that's in the next field in the nearby field. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you listen to, I've been at waterfalls, which waterfalls are just white noise, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and you can hear voices in the white noise. Yeah,
right. If you try hard enough and you listen long enough, you can pull out of that chaos. You can pull out something that sounds like a voice, and you can do this with a lot of stuff. You just have to really try to see it or try to hear it.
Musical hallucinations because of white noise. Because of fans and stuff. It feels like, or sometimes it sounds like rock music or electronica music that's like kind of low, like it's playing in somebody else's apartment.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Time for a good segue. Talking about rock music, loud rock music. We're now going to play a video for Supersonic Symbiotic song, Disney Jail. All right, well, we had Artemis on the show. Let's just get on with the show.
Chuck, I love the character that says, "I hate this job." They're like a superhero.
That's Supermom.
Yeah, they're like, "I hate this job." Like, I want to hear more superheroes complain about, their stuff, like they're a greeter at Walmart. Like.
Yes. Yeah, that's Supermom. She's in Urfspace Heroes.
I didn't know it was Supermom.
It's tough being a mom. Yeah, she's Supermom.
Oh, okay. Because she kind of flew across the screen.
Yeah. Well, the Supermom. She flew across. Well, there was also.
Wait, is that really? I thought the character looked more like Red, White, and Blue.
Oh yeah, no, you were looking at.
Did I confuse the characters?
Fart Pain America and Plucky Bucky.
Okay, no, I guess it was Supermom because I remember those guys. They came across at the beginning of it. Yeah.
They're chasing the cheeseburger. There's a story of how they're chasing Cheeky Q Cheeseburger.
It's funny that there's some of these characters I still haven't seen, and I've seen a lot of your work, and I'm still seeing like new characters. And
there's 80 characters in each of these books. So, 80 drawings anyway. Here we go.
If I identify strongly with a character, can I commission you to draw a version of that character that's me?
Yes.
Maybe
All
I
right.
want to be Fart Pan America Plucky Bucky.
Oh, I've mirrored. Let me unmirror.
It looks fine from my end.
Does it? Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's
Yeah,
mirrored.
it looks good. Over here, I can
That's
read
weird.
it.
Why is that? It only mirrors it for me? That's weird. All right, let's see. Fart Pain America and his loyal sidekick, Plucky Bucky, are on a mission to catch their nemesis, Cheeky Q Cheeseburger. The dynamic duo have been chasing the elusive sandwich for hours, and our sweaty heroes are feeling the strain. Fart Pain is determined to catch the cheeseburger, not only to save it from being wasted. With every stride, Farty's sides ache and his cheeks flush as onlookers stare and point, but his unwavering determination is one of the things Bucky admires most about his idol. As they run through the crowded city streets, dodging pedestrians and obstacles, the burger taunts them, always just out of reach, yelling out stuff like, "This is harassment! I haven't done anything wrong! And he's going to eat me!" He's Bruce Evans' squeaky voice. The chase is long and grueling. Finally, panting and out of breath, they corner the bun in a dark alley. After a brief struggle, America and Bucky emerge victorious. Their hard work and perseverance paid off. The tiny cheeseburger may have seemed unimportant to many, but to them it was a symbol of their dedication to their mission, and the value of never giving up on a goal, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant.
I appreciate that your backwoods Betty does not have hoof feet.
Oh, hoof feet. I love hoof feet.
Oh yeah,
Especially-
she's got big old clodhoppers on. I don't know why she wears big clodhoppers.
They're like Doc Martin. They're like They're like Doc Martens crossed with Uggs. They've got the furry thing on the top, but the Doc Martin bottoms.
Yeah, you're right, Amber. I was getting a bit obsessed with hoof feet, but I'm not only about hoof feet.
I
but
think
quite
hoof
like
feet are
hoof
hilarious, especially the big fat ones. Those are like my favorite. I think the zebra has them.
Yeah.
Doesn't the zebra have fat hoof feet?
I mean,
Yeah.
for crying out loud,
Yeah,
Plucky
Tina gets
Bucky-
annoyed when I just do them super fat. I love
the super fat. That's I think partly why I love that zebra, but also the look on that
Elephant
zebra's
woman.
face.
She's got she's got some feet.
You know, elephant feet on the inside, the bone structure looks like human feet.
Yeah, they're kind of
Yes,
like
they look like little
fists,
hands, don't
right?
they?
They're kind of walking on their toes a little, and then there's like a lot of pads.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
See?
I have a
More hoof
complicated
feet.
relationship with feet. Congra's got big old grippy feet.
Some of them have grippy feet, but most of your girls have like these little hoof feet.
Well, I think that was the theme in this book. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of that. The Teenage Mutant Astronaut Ostriches, they've got like 2-toe feet.
What do ostriches have? Don't they have 2, or is it 3?
I don't know, but there's a sort of earthy things that have 2 toes.
They have 3 toes and then one kind of like thumb toe, I guess you could say.
Oh,
That
okay.
goes in the back. Yeah.
Pandemonium,
Oh.
the devil who draws, she's got hoofs for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a
That's-
devil.
yeah.
That's expected. Yeah. You
She's
know.
the devil who draws. She's like Harold in the Purple Crown. Dale was offended by that. All right. I don't know where she comes from.
Does your panda have hoof feet? I can't tell.
Panda lady. Yeah. Oh, Kangrelina. Kangrelina has kangaroo feet.
Oh, that's a good name, Kangrelina. I like that, and that she's a boxer. She's like
Yeah.
a master.
She's like, you want a box? I'll learn you how to box. Growing up in the Australian outback, Kangrelina couldn't have realised that there was anything unusual about her father being an outlaw American scientist and her mother a kangaroo. Likewise, although she was school boxing champion, she never dreamed that her skill in the sport would one day make her undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. She also holds the British high jump record. Now she gives back by teaching youngsters how to punch each other.
I like the phonetic word balloon, by the way. That's a nice touch.
Can
Yeah.
you talk more about the animal sex?
This American scientist and his kangaroo wife.
Why are you into furries, Chris?
No, I mean it's just a question.
It's just, yes, well.
Well, why not? Why not be? You know, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this is definitely like my most furry work to date.
You can give me 10 reasons not to be. I'll get out of it. I'll get
Like
out
the
of that.
purple panda and raccoon girl in the City of the Future. They're very furry. Does the future really need another hero? No. All right then. How about 2? The Purple Panda and Raccoon Girl are the warm, fuzzy soups that the world's been waiting for. Of the 2, PP smells a bit nicer. Also, Raccoon Girl has sharp teeth and clever little hands, so watch out.
What was the opening line on that? Does the world need more?
Does the future really need another hero?
And did you answer that or no?
No with a question mark. I said, all right then, how about 2?
I think it'd be funny if the world started like laying off superheroes, like they're going through recession, they just started laying off some of the lesser ones, and what they had to do.
They've done that storyline in comics and stuff like that. Remember, there used to be Avengers East and Avengers West, and so
I do not remember.
This was in the 1990s, right?
Oh, okay.
Well, probably around like 1998, 1999. When the market was starting to implode for American comics and, things weren't as collectible anymore and stuff like that, they basically had to come up with an excuse for cutting a bunch of books from Marvel, including the Avengers West book. So they literally had the team fired.
And did they do a comic on that?
Yeah, they did. They did the Last Hurrah comic, which was basically Tony Stark fired Avengers West. Like, we can't afford to keep you guys around anymore. And they took the characters, they kind of integrated them into the rest of the Marvel universe. But, they literally ended the book with the characters getting fired.
I mean, that sounds funny. I don't know how it was received, but it sounds funny.
It had low readership, so, I'm sure there were fans that were upset that Avengers West got canceled, but not many.
Now, they could have had the mind-bending Siren. She could have been in the Avengers. All of these characters could be in a more modern version of the Avengers. Oxford University student Jenny Psycho Wren always had an incredible brain, and that was her nickname, High Psycho, as in commas. Then she fell into a vat of experimental chemicals, and it grew so big that it started to bend the laws of space and time. I don't know if she can manipulate thoughts with it, but I really do think it's her most attractive feature, and that she's just the greatest. Well,
she has
I like her.
blue feet too.
She's I like the character.
I've got little feet myself. You see, this is the thing. So I like little feet.
You
I
have
saw
tiny
one of
feet.
the characters earlier that had
I've got little
basically a
mutant
point.
spina bifida feet. But I love them. They do me all right. They get me around, I guess, just about. This one's kind of based on my friend Megan.
Is
Super Eve?
Yeah, does Super Eve?
No, Strong Woman. Super Eve. No, Super Eve. Well, she's a sort of amalgam of some people.
Does Super Eve just give apples of original sin to everybody? Because that's how I see this playing out. She's just like gives apples to everyone that give them original sin.
Yeah. Well. Yes, she's armed only with fruit from the Tree of Knowledge and clothed in nothing but a fig leaf and a stylish green cape. Super Eve fights crime across the millennia. She's partnered by her reformed sidekick Satan the Serpent as they atone for their sins in the Garden of Eden and pay their debt to society. Eve still keeps an occasional touch with Adam, even though their kids are grown and there's not so much to do in the way of parenting anymore.
That's funny. She still has a relationship with Adam.
Yeah, somewhat. Adam's moved on as well, but they're still friends.
No Lilith in your books?
I do not have Lilith in there. No, I don't know enough about Lilith. Tell me about Lilith.
Lilith was Adam's first wife. And so according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Gnostics, a bunch of different alternative sources to modern Catholicism and Christianity, Lilith was created equal to Adam, and Adam basically tried to bend her over and have sex with her doggy style, and she's like, no, if we're equal, if we're going to have sex, you need to face me, right? Like missionary. And Adam basically said that he wanted a subservient mate, someone who's not going to fight him, somebody who's not equal to him. And so God made Eve from the rib and banished Lilith out of the Garden of Eden. And so Lilith becomes a succubus and basically tortures men until the rest of eternity, because she was ostracized because she didn't accept Adam as her mate, not because of eating from the tree of knowledge.
That explains the Lilith Fair. The Lilith Fair. Remember that thing in the 90s?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know Lilith Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lilith was basically equal to Adam, and so
Man.
that's the Gnostics believed that she was superior to Eve for those reasons, is because she was created equal, and that women should strive to be more like Lilith than like Eve and subservient.
I think it's a little weird that like Eve got made out of Adam's rib. Isn't that so? When they're having sex, it's a little bit like masturbating, I'd say. I mean, nobody really covers that, but it's a little weird.
The explanation for the rib is because men have a floating rib, and it
two
looks
floating
like,
ribs.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's half a rib.
But you guys
right?
have floating ribs too.
No,
We both have
women are missing the floating rib.
What? Hold on.
Women don't have that rib. And
I'd like
so
to
when
use
you
my.
compare,
I get 2 fact checks every day, every episode, and I'm going to use my fact check on this.
okay, I will
You can use a
my
phone
Google
fact check.
I'm going to use my, what is that called? My lifeline.
Yeah, your
fact
lifeline.
check.
You
Yeah.
can phone a friend, your fact check. You can use one of your fact checks. Yeah. You haven't used a fact check in a while, so,
I gotta
you know.
say, I feel like there's a little
But they don't-
conflict of interest if you're doing the fact checking here.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like maybe an independent third party should do it. That's trying to sell books.
Well, Lilith was also Frasier's wife on Cheers.
Yes.
Ah, interesting.
Yes.
So Lilith, yes. Well, and Robert Crumb, he talks a lot about in his book of Genesis about how, you know, the whole book of Genesis is sort of about obscuring and suppressing a sort of the former female dominant Earth Mother sort of religion that existed, and it's really about the imposition of the patriarchy up on top of that, which is very interesting. Yeah.
According to Healthline.com, most people were born with 12 pairs of ribs for a total of 24, no matter their sex. However, the last 2 ribs are half the length as the female ribs on the male. So women have complete ribs, and men only have half a rib on the bottom.
What?
But it's the same amount of ribs.
Now I gotta fact check.
Yeah, Down syndrome is a chromosome disorder. People born with Down syndrome sometimes have an extra rib or a missing 12th rib. Not everyone who has Down syndrome has a rib number variation. The rare autosomal recessive disorder is also known as spondylocostal dysostosis, is involved in abnormal development of the ribs and spine. In addition to scoliosis and fused or misshapen vertebrae, people born with this condition may have ribs that are fused together or missing entirely. So there's variations on people having ribs.
Stop trying to get me off the trail here. So you're saying that
Adam
men and
and
women have
Eve
the
story
same.
has led some people to believe that men have 1 fewer rib than women. This isn't true. The vast majority of people have 12 sets or 24 ribs, no matter the sex. People born with certain conditions may have too many or too few ribs. These conditions don't always require treatment. In many instances, your doctor will recommend watchful waiting.
I'm gonna give myself a half right on that. So you're saying the difference between men and women is men have those 2 ribs that are floating, and women they're connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
That seems to be the only physiological difference, but the number of ribs is the same.
It's interesting because, you know, when they find these old skeletons and they're trying to sex them, there's a couple things that they look at, and one of them is like points of muscle attachment and the elbow, the angle of the elbow, and the
wideness of the hips is generally how they can determine by how open the hips are.
Yeah, and also like on a male where muscles are attached to bones, usually there's like a little lump. Like guys have this lump on the back of their head, and they've kind of got a lump here, and it's less, it's a lot less pronounced on women. But I've never heard them, you know, doing the rib thing.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing.
Well, now you know why. It's because
they need to read this Wikipedia thing.
No, that was Healthline that had that information about the ribs, so it wasn't even on Wikipedia.
Well, what does Super Eve have to say about this, Chuck?
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what sort of villains that Super Eve would be fighting. I'm assuming like
ribs,
diabolical doctors. Yeah,
so people with floating ribs.
Clearly fighting for knowledge.
I think she should be fighting for rib equality.
Rib equality.
and rib
Yeah.
equality.
Yeah. Women should have floating ribs as well. They're cooler. And I don't know.
Well, just crime in
Cuter.
general, really.
They're just cuter. Floating ribs. They sound cuter.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Girly
I,
Princess Adventures.
Oh, I'm not sure I've seen Monkey either. I like.
Oh yeah,
she's cute.
that's Monkey Girl.
Yeah.
Is that making you feel something that confuses you, Chris?
I mean, it's making my pants feel a little tight, but aside from that, I'm not confused about anything. She's kind of cute and sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of ugly and sexy, is what I meant to say.
You know,
She's
it's.
sexy
I think
ugly.
it's the mascara. It's the fact that Monkey Girl has mascara that she's
Yeah.
wearing right now.
Yeah.
She does? But is it all over her entire body?
No, just her eyes.
Just her eyes, yeah. She's cute, and she's got
Where's-
like a nice hairdo, and she's a very successful business person.
I might be confused about what mascara is. I thought it was the stuff that, like, isn't it like this stuff or this stuff? Which stuff is it?
It's an eyeliner
Okay.
and like a lash thickener.
Which she has got 3 lashes. I guess they're thick. For 3.
Well, I mean, you know, it's definitely like
Yeah, she's cute.
Eyelashes.
She's cute. She's like, yeah.
She's cute. Yeah.
and more
Oh,
goofy.
Did you ever see Portnoy's Complaint? Have you guys ever seen that?
That sounds familiar.
Is it a show?
It's a movie from the 70s, and it's based on a book, and there's a character in there called Monkey. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know if I'm going to go down that road, because probably seeing it is a good thing to have before I go off on a tangent that no one gets.
Well,
It might be, what's it called? A good, when you have college courses and you're supposed to take this course before that course, prerequisite. It's a good prerequisite for the conversation.
well, I don't have a lot else to say this morning, other than it was July the 4th. I'm a bit knackered today. Like we were having a good time yesterday. I don't know, Amber. You were saying you were a bit sleep deprived as well.
Well, I mean, I'm still fighting a summer cold, and
Yes, summer cold.
that sucks. And then Ian lost his job, so we've just
Yeah.
been kind of like figuring stuff out. And so I mean, I got my battle station hooked up. I just need to actually use it now, and I have not done that yet. So
Your battle station.
yeah, battle station. Your computer desk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nickname for your computer desk.
That's kind of how I feel about my workstation, because I'm fast on it and I understand everything.
Hmm.
Kinda
Yeah, so it's your
fun.
battle station.
Yeah, it's like I'm in a jet that I understand really well, and it drives me crazy to work other places because I'm so much faster here.
Hmm. Well, not only that, but you know the nuance of your system. You know how fast things are.
Yeah.
The only thing that's bad about my system is right now I'm
Easy.
running off of a laptop, and so it's slow, and it takes a while for stuff to load up sometimes, and I can't stream and play video games at the same times, which defeats the purpose of streaming video games. So like my next big purchase is probably going to be a new computer, desktop, and so. But until then, here I am on my laptop.
Shout out to gamers, man. If it weren't for gamers, I wouldn't be able to build a blazing fast audio machine. If it weren't for gamers, I think there'd be a lot less, PC building, and I'm glad that's still around.
Yeah. Also, Henry Cavill doing his PC building.
You think?
Oh, is that? Yeah, I think I actually watched some of that. Is that Superman? Who is that?
Yeah, that's the latest super. Well, I shouldn't say the latest one because they just replaced him in the DC movies with a new guy that does not look as hot as Henry Cavill.
Or look like he can bench 400 pounds.
I mean,
Maybe.
Henry Cavill is so dedicated to his roles. Like he got in shape to look like Superman.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job. I watched that computer build now that you say it, because somebody that I was following that's a real builder, like owns a shop, he was critiquing his build, and I thought it was interesting that like this building had gone as mainstream as, Superman.
Yeah.
Because mostly
Well,
it's not celebrities doing the builds on YouTube. It's
well,
gaming
Henry
guys.
Cavill's kind of an odd duck because the guy was a stick skinny nerd forever. And when he first started acting, he had a little bit of like a pudge. You know, he was like skinny fat, and casting director literally told him that he didn't get the part because he wasn't in shape. And so he started working out before he ever got the role as Superman, to like get in shape. And then when he got the role as Superman,
He found steroids.
worked out even more to get in even more shape.
You kind of cut.
Steroids.
Yeah, you kind of cut out there. I think everybody in Hollywood uses
Yeah.
something. I mean, when you see these transformations for movies, you're like, that's not about getting
Yeah.
personal. I mean, the personal trainer is helpful,
But in his heart, Henry Cavill's still that stick skinny nerd.
Mhm.
He plays Warhammer. He plays video games. Like when he was on The Witcher, they had to stop for a couple days because the new Call of Duty came out and he was playing too much.
Whoa, I would
Yeah.
not have expected that.
Yeah,
he-
according
I
to his
he's
PR people, sure.
Yeah, according to his PR people.
Yeah, he is. A huge
And isn't he a
nerd. In
partial
fact, he's
partial
making-
owner of that game?
Well, he's making a Warhammer 40K movie right now.
Aha.
And so
Really?
he's in the process of starring in that movie and stuff like that. Well, he's huge
Really?
in Warhammer.
Oh, that's a
and
good
he's
one.
gotten-
All right.
he's
40,
gotten
well, they're doing a movie
everybody-
of Warhammer 40K.
Yes, and he's gotten everybody on the set into painting miniatures and playing Warhammer on set. And if you've ever been on a movie set, you know it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
I have
So
not.
there's a lot of just waiting around for shots to get set up or the costume to get fixed or whatever
Yeah.
they're waiting on.
Chris needs to know what Warhammer 40K is. Warhammer 40K, like Warhammer was like the original battle miniatures, or not the original, but it was an early sort of, rather than playing a sort of role-playing game, you're doing like actual battles with miniatures on a tabletop
Yeah.
with like minifigures. That's Warhammer. Warhammer
Yeah,
40K was
yeah,
like the
with-
sort of Space
with
Marines
the
one that they
roller.
came up with, and the
With
whole
the
world is
roller,
really
you go,
bizarre.
Okay, I've attacked and it's a 5-inch attack. Okay, there's my attack.
Yeah, you measure things with rulers and inches and stuff. I mean, I don't know where it's at now because it sort of became video games and things like that. But
Yeah.
Warhammer 40K, I mean, yeah, they're like sort of religious space marines on a sort of holy crusade through space, like wiping out all the aliens that they find.
What's the 40K stand for?
Well, it's the year 40,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you calibrate your mortars? Do you use a ruler for that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you calibrate, or not calibrate, but you measure everything with basically a ruler, or you can have pieces of string that are the length of your attacks, and that's I've used that too. My personal favorite of the Warhammer universe is Gorka Morka, and that one's pretty fun. And
Yeah, what is it?
Gorka Morkan. It's more of a
Whatever you say, Amber, I'm just gonna believe it because I don't know.
I'm gonna look it
I
up.
don't know what Amber's talking about. You're talking about Gorky Morky.
No,
all right.
Amber, that
No.
sounds exactly. That sounds.
Okay, I've
perfectly
got.
right
Okay, I
to
do
me.
have something. I happen to have this in it handy. It's my book of Citadel miniature painting.
Yes.
What? I don't even know about this.
Well, I don't know why it's in here. I
website.
was doing some miniature painting in here at some point. Actually, that's sort of what led to like doing more actual art. Is at the beginning of
thought
the
I
pandemic,
knew
I had all the
everything
miniatures I
about-
wanted to paint. So I was sort of doing that. But this
It's
is
Gorka Morka.
the book that tells you how to
I
paint
believed
your
you,
figures.
Amber, the whole time. I thought I knew everything about Chuck, and it turns out I don't.
You didn't know I had a
Whoa.
book
Here.
on miniature painting.
No.
Here, I just put the link in our private chat for the Wikipedia for Gorka Morka.
Let's see if I can.
This is the one that I
Open
like
up
to
that.
play. Because the games are a little shorter and it's a little bit more three-dimensional. Instead of playing out, you play up.
in the Warhammer 4000 setting. Huh.
Yeah.
And predominantly features orcs.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they have the orcs, the
mean-
battles. You basically like these games are like about you like to paint your miniatures and collect up your own army, and then you go to a convention or somewhere and then set up like a beautiful, playing
Display.
field and have a proper
Yeah.
battle.
So if,
Yeah.
if somebody wins, You know how like in chess, you take the players off the board. It'd be cool if like you win this game, you get to keep the characters that you capture.
Oh yeah.
But here's what's interesting about Warhammer, okay?
So did I.
So
Hate it.
what happens
It's
in
easy,
one
Dave.
game is
It-
cumulative with what happens with other games, right? So you have a character that say gets a huge mortar blast on him, and and he's hurt bad, right? Like it might even kill the character. That character is permanently scarred in future games. So he may not be able to move as far. He may not be able to aim as well. Whatever kind of damage that happened to that character is permanent for future games. And so it also happens the other way, where you can have benefits that happen to characters, or buffs, or things like that, and those are also carried into future games.
I mean, that sounds like less fun. I like the idea of like starting over, like a new relationship or something. Like you don't have to carry the baggage from the last wrecked relationship. You just start out fresh with a new person.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that too, but part of the fun is making these histories of these characters, and like having a character that like what I used to do back in junior college is I used to paint people's Warhammer armies for tuition money. And so like what would happen is they would have this stuff happen in their battles, and they'd be like, yeah, this guy's missing an arm now. Can you take off his arm and paint him up to look cool? And so I would take off his arm, and I would paint like a little bit of blood and stuff, so when he goes in, he's going in with a wound now when he's fighting, and now he can't attack from that side. It was cool. I had fun.
Well, very cool. I think I've got to get on with things today.
The Kickstarter,
A
I
little
know.
bit.
Okay,
I gotta do something to plug this Kickstarter. Oh my gosh! Thank you everybody who's backed it so far. I really appreciate it.
Let's check out the website. Let's see how many people have backed it.
Well,
cool?
I'm at.
I think it's just cool to see the website.
Yeah, let's do a share the screen here. Here we go.
The progress bar. I feel like Kickstarters have
17 backers.
17 backers, 21 days to go. 911 of 4,500 goal. I would be really much happier if I was at like over 1,000 by the end of today. It's going to be very difficult, guys. Really need your support. This is an amazing book, an amazing album, and I think we'll get there. I think we will, but I got to get to work. I got to pedal a bicycle, and the holiday, July 4th. People say that's not the greatest time for like a Kickstarter, but so I think we've done quite well. But
we're gonna send out. I sent you that. So we did a newsletter yesterday to our fans.
Oh yes,
and we plugged this, and we're going to plug it. Usually we send out a newsletter every month, so we plugged it yesterday, and we're going to plug it like 2 or 3 days. Usually we do them on the 1st, but we're going to do another newsletter early because this ends on the 26th.
6th, yes, the Wednesday show. So our show, so next week we're going to do a late show. Probably on the Thursday night. Then the following week we'll be back. We've got our guest on the 19th. And then the 26th will be the wrap-up show.
And I sent you, so from the write-up in our newsletter, I sent you something that will make it easier for, like, if you want to send it out to, like, these other musicians. It's just a write-up on you, like, who you are, what you've done, what the Kickstarter is about. And, you don't have to use it, but...
yes, no, I need that. That's what I need today, actually.
Well, I sent that to you via email. If you
I'll tell you what, should we have a little talk about this off the air?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, all right, so, all right, okay, I'm going to play the Kickstarter theme again, and we'll see you next week. So it'll be Thursday evening next week. All right,
yeah. Bye.
Bye. Whoa. Damn it. Frickety.